Hey everyone, Travis here at the very end of PAX Prime 2014, joined by Nick Allen, one of the people who led the charge on putting this whole thing together here in the LCS area. We've just seen TSM get the first seed to Worlds. Nick Allen, what did you think of PAX so far? Or, I mean, of the whole thing now that it's pretty much over?
Really exciting. Fans are crazy. I feel like I say that in all of our interviews, but it's true. They came out in droves. They were super passionate. I think we saw a little bit more balance in the crowd. We usually see just like an overwhelming amount of TSM fans, and this time we saw a good amount of C9 fans. We saw a lot of people rooting for LMQ and Curse. It was really exciting. We really upped the amount of people that were in this room this year. Last year we had about 800 people sitting down. This year we had about 1,600, and then including about another 400 or 500 in the back of the room. So just a staggering amount of people. We're really, really pleased that all these fans showed up and wanted to experience the LCS with us.
Now, speaking of that, I've seen, as we said, we've seen it grow so much. Now we're in the bigger room, etc. Is there a concern at all that this is going to grow out of PAX at some point in time, or there just won't be the space to be able to attach it to an event like this?
Yeah, it's hard to say. I think we did have to close the room down at a certain point today because we just reached so many people. But we love the fan turnout at PAX. We know this is a huge center for gaming culture, and we like to be a close part of that as well. So we'll be making considerations for next year, but we do love PAX. The fans love PAX, and we want to keep showing up as much as we can, as long as it makes sense for the LCS.
Now that everything is done, we've seen all these best of fives go down. Yeah. Any thoughts on you guys expanding the best of fives to so much of the playoffs this year?
Yeah, I mean, best of five was awesome. All of the playoff matches were best of five. We thought that was a really critical change for this year, and the fans have given us a lot of positive feedback, and they wanted this too. So it's cool to be like listening to the fans and being able to make these sort of changes. There are some things that we aren't super satisfied with, like the overall this season. I think Challenger is probably an area that we're going to really need to focus on for next year. How can we grow in that? How can we improve it overall? And so in the off season, we're going to be making a lot of considerations around the LCS, our rules, all of that policies, but especially around Challenger and the things we're going to do there next year.
Nice. Okay, so we'll have to stay tuned for what is in store for Challenger. Yeah. Hey, stepping away a little bit from PAX, leading up to this event, there was a lot of controversy and conversation around, actually just the really strong words exchanged between TSM management and some of the higher-ups at CLG, specifically Monty, coaching and that kind of thing. We've seen you guys have a pretty high tolerance for trash talk. Oftentimes, I think even citing maybe publicly, if I can recall, that it's sort of part of the scene and part of what builds the hype and that kind of thing. With so much of that going on, though, and it hitting such like a high point with people calling each other fraud and that kind of thing, is there any concern at some point in time that you guys would want to step in, or something similar to what we see in traditional sports leagues where there's like a unsportsmanlike conduct or something similar to what happened with Odie a while back?
So yeah, I think this is a very competitive time in the season right now, as teams are preparing for the playoffs, playing for Worlds, and so there's a lot of passion. There's just a lot of passion, a lot at stake, right? And this sort of translates into, a little bit of back and forth between some of these teams, which, is something we've seen before. But I think one of the cool things about the League of Legends community is all the diverse personalities there, and that comes out in that passion. And so, we sort of, we don't want to come in and just control speech, but at the same time, we want to be able to have teams talking about passion and being able to, have some of these back and forths. I think it adds a lot of interesting dynamics to the playoffs overall.
So is there ever going to be is there like a theoretical line out there somewhere where you think like, okay, this is where it's too much, or it gets too much of an effect on the community? I mean, we've seen this like with the toxic conversations with Riot Light and player behavior and all that. Is there ever a point in time where you think that becomes an issue with the league and the way people are behaving?
Well, we do have a lot of rules in place to, if we need to step in, if things go over the line, we will. And we have chosen not to step in this case. So there is a line again, but we have chosen not to step in, and the passion and the discussion continues, or was happening last week. Yeah.
All right. So now we've seen CLG recently, unfortunately, not make it to Worlds for CLG fans, and interestingly enough, that frees up with Crepo a possible reunion from what we saw on the analyst desk last year with Monty, Doublelift, and Crepo being there. Is there any chance that we'll see that? Do you guys have plans for the analyst desk yet?
Yeah, I mean, we're in the middle of making a lot of plans around Worlds and where it's going to be during Worlds. I think you're going to see some of it in LA and some of it on site in Korea as well. In terms of what characters you'll see on the analyst desk, that's still up in the air at this point. I think we have been hyper focused on the playoffs and what's going on there. Now that the playoffs have resolved and we can see everyone that's out there and who's interested in that sort of thing, we can start making those kinds of decisions.
We've seen now that LMQ, TSM, and Cloud9 have qualified that there is actually a majority of the players that will be participating in Worlds representing North America not being from North America. Is there a concern for you guys at all about the rising influence of international teams coming to North America to play in the LCS?
It is interesting. I think to a certain extent you want to see the best teams possible, the best players possible. But you also want to see some of those local heroes as well. So it is something that we are thinking about and thinking through. And again, super hyper focused on the playoffs and all this stuff here. So wouldn't be able to dive deeper than that. But it is something that it is on our radar.
On the radar. Fair enough. Yeah. We've got off season right after Worlds, and while everybody might be focused on Worlds, there's a lot of planning that certain people in the media or press have to make on the idea of maybe there might be something going on in the off season. Myself possibly being one of those people. I was wondering if you can give us any insight yet into what the off season is going to look like. Last year we saw Battle of the Atlantic. Will there be tournaments, or is it going to be kind of like a dead time?
A very biased question from you selfish person.
Listen, on behalf of other media, I need to know this.
Yeah, so I think you will see some stuff during the off season. Can't go too into detail, but there will be some tournaments happening, and I'll just leave it at that. Yeah.
So tournaments will be happening in the off season, confirmed by Nick Now. And you also said S. You said tournaments, not just tournament. So that's quite good. I'm excited about that.
Yeah. No comment.
Okay. Now we're going too far. Other than that, just sort of wrapping things up. Looking forward to Worlds. Anything that we can expect? Anything to be excited about other than high level play?
Did you say high level play? Because high level play is what you can definitely expect. I mean, it's going to be really entertaining. We have a lot of cool stuff in store. I think the experience is going to be really great for fans. We're going to see kind of a diverse experience as well as we go from all these different countries. So you're going to see something different every time you tune in. And I think that's going to be pretty neat for the fans. High level play. Do we already talk about that? Yeah. So I think we just saw how exciting TSM versus Cloud9 is, and so that's sort of a sneak peek into what's in store for Worlds as well. So high level play.
High level play.
Yeah.
Is that a pun around the mid laner of Cloud9?
No, it is not. It's a terrible joke, actually.
Sorry. Well, we tried. Anyway, thank you so much, Nick, for the interview. Really appreciate it. And great job with PAX. I think it's been a pretty big success. I'm sure everybody really excited about it.
Yeah.
You can check out the rest of our coverage of all things PAX and more, including everything leading up to Worlds at ongamers.com.